Thank you so much, Sunilji. Radhe Radhe. Good morning, good evening to all of you. Welcome to Daily Wisdom from Bhagavad Gita session. Radhe Radhe, Nitinji, over to you.
Radhe Radhe Pallavi ji. Radhe Radhe everyone. Thank you, Prakash ji and Sunil bhai, for a wonderful session like always. So welcome, very warm welcome to all of you to today's edition of Daily Wisdom from Bhagavad Gita. We've been talking about the concept of or the entry criteria for the Gyan Yoga. Yesterday we spoke at length, and today we'll talk about Bhakti. What are the entry criteria for Bhakti Yoga? That is what we are going to talk about today. So very warm welcome to all of you. Let's get started with our opening prayers, and then we'll get into our appetizer, the soul soup segment, the philosophical discussion on the shloka that we are going to have today. In fact, we have two today, and then followed towards the end with our devotional segment like we always do. So let me share my screen and we will get started. Are you able to see it?
Yeah.
Great. So let's get started with our opening prayers. Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwaraha, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsa Chanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. Right. Radhe Radhe, good morning, good evening to all of you. Very warm welcome to all of you. So let's get started with our shloka. We are doing 4.27 and I've introduced one more shloka today to so basically drive the discussion forward on the topic that we are going to discuss today, the people who take to devotion or worship God. So let's get started on this one. Sarvani Indriya Karmani Prana Karmani Chapare Atma Sanyama Yogagno Juhvati Jnana Deepite. Okay, we can take a few hands on this one.
Yeah, Radhe Radhe, Sandhya ji.
Radhe Radhe, Sandhya.
Go ahead.
Radhe Radhe. Sarvani indriya karmani prane karmani chapare atma sanyama yogagnam jupati jnana deepite.
Very nice. Thank you.
Yamji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe. Sarvani indriya karmani prana karmani chapare atma sanyam yogagnam juvati jnani deepite. Radhe Radhe.
Nice, thank you. Radhe Radhe. You can take maybe one more hand on this one.
Yeah, Sri Ramya ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe, Shri Ramya.
Ready? Radhe Radhe.
Okay. Sarvanindriya
Sarvanindriya
Karmani
Karmani
Prana Karmani
Prana Karmani
Chapare
Chapre
Atma Sanyama
Atma Sanyama
Yogagnav
Yogagnav
Juvati
Juvati
Jnana Deepite.
Jnana Deepite.
And today is Swadrut's birthday.
Happy birthday, Swadrut. Many
Thank you.
happy returns of the day.
Thank
We're
you.
celebrating your birthday by reciting a Gita shloka, which is wonderful. Great start to your day. Many happy returns of the day.
Thank you.
How much is Swadrut turning? Is he turning 7 or 8?
7 years old.
7 years old. Very nice. Happy birthday, Swadrut.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you. All right. Let's take a few more hands. Or let's move on to the next one and then we'll take the remaining hands there. So this one I picked from chapter 7, verse 16. where it's a very important shloka, like all the shlokas in Bhagavad Gita, of course. So it says, Chaturvedha bhajante mam jana sukrito narjuna arto jigyasurartharthi jnanischa bharatarshabha. Who wants
Palji,
to take?
Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe. Chaturvidha bhajanti mam jana sukritinorjuna arto jignasurarthar
Jigyasu artharthi.
अर्थार्थी जिज्ञासु अर्थार्थी ज्ञानी च भरतर्षभ. राधे राधे.
Okay, thank you. Radhe Radhe. Okay, we can take maybe
Yeah,
a couple.
Samji, Radhe Radhe, please
Radhe
go ahead.
Sam.
राधे राधे चतुर्विधा भजन्ते मां जना सुकृतिनोऽर्जुन आर्तो जिज्ञासुरर्धार्धी ज्ञानी च भरतर्षभ.
Very nice, thank you.
Surya Prakash ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
राधे राधे नितिन जी.
Thank you.
चतुर्विधा भजन्ते माम जना सुकृतिनोऽर्जुन आर्तो जिज्ञासुरर्धार्थी ज्ञानी च भरतर्षभ.
Very nice, thank you. Mrs. PG. Okay, we take two more hands and
Yes, Pragya ji, Pragi ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Pragi ji.
Yeah, Radhe Radhe, thank you. चतुर्विद्या भजन्ते मां जना सुकृतिनो अर्जुन आर्तो जिज्ञासुर अर्थार्थी ज्ञानी च भरतर्षभ. Thank
Very
you.
nice. Priya ji, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
राधे राधे.
Radhe Radhe.
चतुर्विधा भजन्ते मां जना सुकृतिनोऽर्जुन आतो जिज्ञासुरर्तार्ति ज्ञानी च भरतर्षभ.
Very nice, thank you, ji. All right, Shirame, you want to recite? Swadrut wants to recite this one as well.
Again,
Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
चतुर्विधा
Vida
भजन्ते मां
bhajante mam
ज्ञान
jnana
सुकृतिनो
sukritino
अर्जुन
arjuna
आर्तो जिज्ञासुर
arto jignasur
अर्थार्थी
artharti
ज्ञानी च
jnani cha
भरतर्षभ.
bharatarshaba.
Thank you.
Wonderful,
you.
very nice. So, thank you, Swadrut, and happy birthday once again to you. So let's get started then. So the previous shloka that we've been talking about, 4.27, we spoke about Gyan Yoga. It says, some inspired by knowledge offer the functions of their senses and their life energy in the fire of the controlled mind. Today we are going to talk about, who are the people who take to devotion. And Lord Krishna has stated there are 4 types of people. So let's see what he talks about. He says, oh, best among the Bharatas, 4 kinds of pious people engage in my devotion. The distressed, the seekers of knowledge, the seekers of worldly possessions, and those who are situated in knowledge. So let's get started with our discussion today. So we'll start with our Soul Soup segment. We are actually having a series on success, happiness, and fulfillment. So let's see what do we have today. Okay, so I'll tell you a story of a guy. Now this guy, he wakes up in the morning, one beautiful morning, and he lurched out of his bed. And then he realized he had overslept. So he had an important appointment at his office. So he rushed through his daily routines and munched a hasty breakfast and then hopped onto his car. Now that's what happens. Now quickly he turned on the engine. He pressed the accelerator, expecting the car to lunge forward. However, it found it crawling. And soon after, in frustration, he increased the pressure on the pedal, the accelerator, but it was in vain. He smelled burning rubber. I'm sure a lot of us have had that kind of an experience, and found fumes emerging from the hood. That's not a pleasant sight at all. He got out and discovered that the rubber brakes were melting. Now, guess what had happened? What dawned upon him was that he had forgotten to disengage his parking brakes. Okay, so his brakes were on and he was trying to accelerate it. So, of course, the consequence was not desirable. In fact, it was actually harmful. It could have been hazardous as well. Now, the point here is, are you driving with your brakes on? You may say no, right? It's not a good thing to drive with our brakes on. But we do have our brakes. Okay, we are driving our life, the motor car of our life, with our brakes on. What are those brakes? Let's understand those. These are our emotional brakes, okay, which we need to be wary and cautious about. Greed, discontentment, fear, anxiety, all these are our brakes. So stress, for that matter, resentment, these all serve as brakes in our life. So the mindset, when we have this kind of brakes, like, operating with any of these, they actually work like brakes. And then what happens is it backfires in form of a breakdown. And what is that breakdown? They result in our physical breakdown and our mental wear out over a period of time. They directly translate to the physical ailments that we experience in our life. You may say, what is the correlation? There is a correlation. Even in Ramayana, Lord Ram had asked sage Vashisht, what is Vyadhi? What is disease? And he had told him, it all starts here in our mind. So if we are perpetually or frequently or for an extended period of time suffering from any of these, then it will eventually lead to some kind of a breakdown. And of course, your mind is wearing out because of these emotions as well. Now, they don't get created consciously or unconsciously. They do get created consciously, unconsciously, because we are repeating these thoughts. And where does it stem from? Unholy and poor attitudes. We have been talking about building a good attitude. When we have poor attitudes, such as being full of I, right? Just thinking of I or me, that people are so affected with this disease that they do not realize that they start becoming obnoxious to others. There's a saying in English which says, if I won't think about myself, then who else will? But then if that is all I do, then who am I? So it's okay to think about yourself, but when we are so full of ourselves, that can cause this problem as well. Petty jealousy is there. Petty jealousy is basically when with this sentiment, you resent the success of others. And they believe that everyone deserves equal success regardless of their abilities, output, or interpersonal skills or their behavior. And then you succumb to petty jealousy. Failure to forgive. You continue to harbor grudges who have inflicted harm upon you, and they don't realize that grudges hurt them more than anybody else. And then the fault-finding nature as well. So these are some of the things which can result in some of these things which would result basically, which serve as a brake. And when you are driving something with your brakes on, you're not driving it optimally. As humans, the capacity that our mind is endowed with, we are not using it to our full potential, and it is suboptimally utilized if we are getting bogged down with these emotional brakes. So we need to rid ourselves of this baggage gradually, and reading Bhagavad Gita is certainly a good step in that direction. Okay, it is definitely going to arm us with tools which can help us overcome all these negative emotions and the baggage or the emotional breaks that we need to rid ourselves with. Great. So with that, let's move on to our topic of our discussion. Today, we are going to talk about the criteria on what is the entry criteria on the path of bhakti. Yesterday, we had a pretty good discussion on Gyan Marg. We spoke about two V's, right? Vivek, discernment, and Vairagya. Now we'll talk about bhakti a little more today. So this is what we said. The peak of knowledge is wisdom, and then peak of wisdom is to understand. It's all about learning to love God. That is essentially what it is. Like even in Bible, it says, love God with all thy heart and all thy might. End of the day, no matter which tradition you are following, it ends with loving God. It's a common denominator or the common theme. And even otherwise, even in the world, love is a governing emotion. Whether it's a mother-child love or any relationship, people are craving for that perfect love or that true love, right? Which our Bollywood industry has banked upon since late 90s as well. That's a different matter. It doesn't exist in this world, but they keep banking on it with a happy ending always. It doesn't work that way, unfortunately. And then the bhakti after, there's no peak. When you wear the feathers of bhakti, then you fly high, and there is no purnima or peak of bhakti. Like we have a peak of knowledge and peak of any other path that you're following, but in bhakti there is no purnima. You keep flying high and high and high, better butter, and it just continues. There is no purnima in bhakti. There's no full moon in bhakti, basically. Now let's talk about the entry criteria to bhakti, the path of bhakti. So 4 types of people worship me. That's what Lord Krishna is very clearly stating. So let's understand these. The first one is he's calling the one who are distressed. A lot of people can relate to that, right? People, when they are distressed, so when their pot of worldly misery starts overflowing and they find it very hard to cope with, a lot of people turn towards spirituality or God at that point. Okay? They think that, they will take shelter to God, and now that is the only shelter that they have. One of the examples, and even in Mahabharata, is that of Draupadi. We know that, right? When she was in distress and when all her options were exhausted, nobody was helping her, in the courtroom, which included her own husbands, Bhishma, Vidur, Dhritarashtra, Dronacharya, Kripacharya, etc. And then she tried her own effort as well. And then she was in distress at that point. And then finally she let go of it. And then Lord Krishna reciprocated immediately and intervened. So people, when they are in distress, they resort or they turn towards God. That is a very common phenomena. In fact, so much so that if you are on the path of spirituality, the first thing people will ask you is, okay, what happened in your life? Okay, did you have some kind of a tragedy or something wrong went in your life? That is a very common understanding. And people say, when you ask them, okay, why don't you invest time in spirituality or read Bhagavad Gita? They said, we have everything going right for us. We don't need it. So they think if everything is right, then it's only when people are distressed they resort to spirituality, which is unfortunately not the case. In fact, when Swamiji, we met him in the initial days. We asked him, Swamiji, what turned you to spirituality? I said, this is one of the questions I am very frequently asked by different people. So somebody asked him, did your girlfriend leave you because of which you came in this path, right? And what is he supposed to answer? He said that my simple answer is that I just believed in this knowledge. That's all. Very simple answer. You believed in this knowledge and you took to spirituality. So it's not like that you have to be in distress, but people, when they are in distress, they turn towards God, which, if you look at it the other way, it's a blessing in disguise. That is why God says, when I start bestowing mercy or kripa on people, I start snatching their world away from them. Because then it will give them an incentive to turn towards God. And a lot of people, when something bad happens in their life, invariably they turn towards God. At least gives them an incentive. So Lord Krishna is also stating the same in this shloka, that the first category of people who are distressed, now they want to take refuge in God. Okay, so that is the first category. The second category of people is the knowledge seekers. Who are the knowledge seekers? The knowledge seekers are the ones, like they have heard about the opulence of God, that God is like this and God is majestic, and the spiritual realm. There's a spiritual realm and there's something bigger purpose to life and all that stuff. So they're curious to know about God, and then they try to seek him through knowledge. They try to acquire more knowledge about God and try to seek him like that. Okay, so these are the second categories of seekers. Third, the seekers of worldly possessions. This is a very common one. Sukha sampatti gharave kashta mite tanka. So worldly opulence is something that gives a big incentive. In fact, even when people come to spirituality, it takes them a while to understand that they are still seeking world via God. Okay, they will not acknowledge it to themselves, but if they think deeply about it, they are still seeking world via God, care of God, not seeking God for the sake of God as yet. Okay, it takes a while to grow into that concept. So they are seeking worldly positions. And Lord Krishna is clearly saying that, okay, these categories of people, they also come and seek me. Basically, they come and do business with me, right? They will come to the temple and put something and do mannat and all that stuff. But their goal is world. And he said they're welcome too. So if you look at it, the worship people, the bhaktas, whether you are distressed, he's not putting an eligibility criteria there where that, you need to be in advanced stage, like a Bhagavatam says. You need to be in advanced stage of renunciation. You need to be in advanced stage of vairagya for you to even get into the path of Gyan Yoga, or to, start following it in its entirety. In this case, no matter who you are, you're welcome. You can follow here. If you're distressed, that's fine. If you're seeking, that's fine. And even if you're seeking world, that's fine. And there's a story in our scriptures as well, even Dhruv. It is fine. I'll tell you why it is fine. Because that is a starting point for people. You go to temple seeking world, but as you develop in your devotion, you understand the deeper picture around it. Dhruv was, it's an example. There's a story of Dhruv. When he was a small boy, he felt neglected by his father, Tanpat. So disheartened, he went into the forest and did penance to please God. But what was his goal? He wanted to become more powerful than his father. So he was seeking world, and that is why he went to God. But as his devotion grew, he realized that God possessed the priceless jewel of divine love. And what he was seeking was like a broken glass. This realization comes in a due course of time. That, okay, seeking world and worldly things is not what we should be asking. It's like you're going to a billionaire and asking him for a penny, right? Not even a penny in that sense. So when he was pleased with his devotion, God gave him his darshan and requested the Lord to bestow upon him the selfless, pure love. That's what he ended up getting, the Dhruv. So that's the story. And the same thing happens with people as well. It all starts with seeking world. But as you start understanding the deeper principle, as God graces you, then you start understanding the deeper principles around it. And then your worldly attachment starts diminishing. But they are also welcome, God is saying. And then the fourth category is those who are situated in knowledge. Okay, that is where they understand the deeper principles because of their past karma. Yesterday, I think this question came up. Knowledge leads to vairagya and virakti, right? So yes, they might have acquired a lot of knowledge in the past, in their past life. So it becomes very natural to them. They pick it up early on in life and they don't have questions. It's just that they already have some kind of a detachment developed for them, and they understand that they are the tiny parts of God, and the goal of life is to serve God eternally. And they are called the fourth kind of devotees. So these are the four categories that God is saying. These are the eligibility. So if you look at it in the world, pretty much everybody is open. Everybody is welcome. Unless you are envious of God, there are people who are envious. Why? Who does God think of himself? We also have the same capability. Of course, we do have, as his tiny fragmental part, but by his grace only we can become great like God, not by through. But you will come across people who are envious of that, and they find it very hard to accept that there is some other entity who's much superior to you, but who has the ability to make you like him, provided you surrender to him. So those are the people who refrain from doing devotion. But other than that, everybody is welcome. There's no entry criteria as such. Anybody can do bhakti in that sense. Yesterday I said there are three types of people typically. Bhakti works out well for people who are partly in world and partly they have a little bit of detachment. So bhakti works. If you are overly engrossed in the world and the worldly things, then karam kand is the way to go, because they want world. Their goal always remain world. But then the ritualistic things are good starting point for them until they will come to a stage or a station in life where they understand the rituals are just a means to an end and not an end in itself, right? Through proper knowledge or through the grace of Guru, if they come across one. So those people, rituals carry a lot of weightage for them. And people who are very detached might have had some Gyan Yoga sanskars in the past. They are fit for Gyan Yoga because they want to do is contemplation and their own meditation. Aham Brahmasmi, I am God itself. So all categories of people are there. But in Bhakti Marg, everybody is welcome. It's like the floodgates are open. Entry criteria is very low. But as you progressively go, it starts becoming difficult because you have to let go of that I thing, which is so dominant in all of us. In Gyan Marg, your I remains, right? Aham Brahmasmi, because I is God. In this case, you have to finish off your I, right? You deen and humble and all that stuff. Those kind of virtues you have to focus on. Now, let's look at it from another lens as well. We'll go to the definition of God and understand what are the other possibilities of people getting into the path of devotion or drawing grace of God. Okay, let's look at it. This is much more interesting, I find it. Okay, so this is something we'll have a bit of a discussion on as well. So one of the definition of God is Deen Bandhu. If you are Deen, God is your friend already. Right? You may say I'm Deen, but I don't see God as my friend. We don't truly believe we are Deen. The day we will become truly humble, completely dependent on God, God is there already. Okay, so let's look at some of his definitions. Deen Bandhu, that is something which God loves. Patit Pavan, okay, that's another definition of God. We'll look at some examples. Bhakt Vashya, this is the most powerful definition of God. We'll talk about it. And Bhakt Vatsal as well. So let's try to understand a little bit more. Now in Bhakti Shatak verse 36, it says, Sab sadhan sampann kaha पूछत सब संसार साधनहीन प्रपन्न हो पूछत नंद kumar. It's a very important definition. So see, in this world, worldly people love those in the world who have wealth and prestige, but Nand Kumar, Krishna, loves and takes care of those who are humble and destitute. See how interesting and beautiful this concept is. So in the world, like in Delhi, they say that everybody is somebody and nobody is nobody, right? So we need Jack. You know, I know so and who's who of who, and then we need Jack and some kind of a thing. And people are always looking for influential people, minister, somebody through which they can get their work done. So we look for power, prestige, or get associated with that. That is the paradigm in the world for most of the people, I would say. Now, in this case, God is happy to become your Jack. If you don't have anybody, if you have no Jack at all in this world and all you have is God, I just have you. I have nobody. Okay, I'm just a destitute. I just don't have anybody and I'm dependent on just you. God says, game on, I'm your friend. So Deen Bandhu is a very good definition of God. If you truly become humble, truly become Deen, truly become Nirashrit and dependent on him and him alone exclusively, then God will manifest. In fact, you will realize God. He will give you his darshan, his own darshan. So Deen Bandhu, Deen is like, now the closest example that comes to being a Deen is a child, a small child who's completely dependent on the mother. He's Deen, is completely at the mercy of mother. Just by crying is calling out the mother, and mother is doing all the things for the kid, whatever the kid needs. Without kid having to ask for it, he can barely speak. He cannot even articulate what the kid needs. But by simply crying out, by completely being at the mercy of the mother, all the job gets done. So God says you need to become like that, and I'm all yours. However, our ego comes in the way. As we grow up, like as kids grow up, they say, Mom, I know better. So mom also starts taking a back seat. Similarly, we have said to God, okay, we know better. We are also somebody, okay. So God said, all right, I can wait. I'm in no hurry, take your time. So Deen Bandhu is a very good definition of God. If we can truly become humble, God will manifest. Truly humble in letter and spirit, okay. So there are a lot of layers of ego that we have yet. And spirituality is the process of dissolving those layers and truly becoming humble. Now let's look at this definition of Patit Pavan. Now, if you truly consider yourself as Patit, fallen, destitute, okay, truly, then God will again intervene. Okay, this is another definition of God. If we believe we are fallen souls, then God will again manifest himself. That is how close God is to us. Now, there's one story of Ajamil, may not directly relate to that. People are trying to look, okay, who's going on, what's going on here in this picture. Okay, it's the story of Ajamil. Ajamil was a person, he was a Brahmin. However, he fell for a harlot, and he led a very inauspicious life after that. Okay, he fell for that lady and married her, and left his Brahmin wife and had 10 sons from this lady. And his mind had completely gone. He started committing crimes, ransom, and all that stuff. Okay, so he started leading a very inauspicious life. And he had 10 sons from his wife, and the youngest one, his name was Narayan. So when the time came for this guy, he saw, so see, that is also a mercy of God at that point. Okay, I don't know everybody will get that kind of a ND experience or not, but this guy Ajamil had an ND experience. What happened was, when he was about to die, Yamdoots came. Yamdoots, they don't look nice. Okay, they are the most ferocious creatures you would ever see. Okay, more scarier than some of the ghosts you see in movie. So they came to pick him up, and he started yelling Narayan, Narayan, because he was very attached to his youngest son. So the moment he said Narayan, the Vishnu Doots came as well. And then there was a dialogue that ensued between Vishnu Doots and the Yamdoots. That, Yamdoot said, okay, he was a, criminal kind of a guy and did so many inauspicious things. So his time is over, Vishnu Doots, but he called out Narayan. So a bit of a dialogue ensued between them, but they said he did not call out Narayan both in letter and spirit. Narayan was the name of his son. So he saw that experience, and that transformed him. He truly accepted him as a sinner. He said, okay, if just by reciting the name of Narayan, even though I did not mean it, this can happen, then what can really happen if I perfect my devotion? So he accepted him as a sinner, and finally he went to Vaikunth. That experience changed his life. Okay, so if we truly accept ourselves as a fallen soul, not everybody gets that kind of opportunity like Ajamil got. But the point is, once we accept that, God is more than, because his Patit Pavan, his job is to purify you. But for that, you have to acknowledge and accept that, I'm fallen and I need your help on that. So that is the second definition of God, which is very important from a devotee standpoint. However, we want to capture God's attention or make him manifest in front of us for our sake. The third one is Bhaktavatsal. Of course, he is very, what you call that, he melts at his devotees, and he's willing to even break his own vow in front of his devotees. When you say Bhaktavatsal, there are enough examples, but I picked up this one. If you look at the examples with Yashoda Maiya and all, right, how he would shower his love and make her forget and everything like that. So his heart melts. His heart is like that of a butter when he comes in front of his devotees. And one of the incidents that happened in the war of Mahabharata was that Bhishma, he took a vow one day. He said that either I'm going to make Krishna break his vow or I'm going to kill Arjun. And guess what? Krishna actually broke his vow just for the sake of his devotee. Never mind, even if he draws bad name that God broke his promise that I'm never going to lift a weapon, he said, fine. For the sake of devotee, he's even willing to go that extra yard to break his own vow. So that is another one. And the most important definition, if you look at it, is the ultimate achievement a soul can have, which is called Bhaktavashya. Bhaktavashya, it's 9.63 in Bhagavatam, says that Aham Bhakta Paradhino Hai Swatantra Eva Dvija. He's saying, although I'm supremely independent, right? Although, okay, indeed I am not, he's in this one is saying, but then he's completely under the control of his devotees. And he says, because they are devoid of material desires, that is the qualification. You need to be devoid of material desires. And then he says, what to speak of my devotee, even those who are devotees of my devotees are very dear to me. Okay, so these are the definitions we can take inspiration from, right? Although the eligibility for a devotion path is open for all, but then if you want to become special devotees of Lord, these are the 4 categories we can fall into. Now, becoming a good devotee might be difficult, but let's become humble. Then also God will start coming closer to us. Let's start acknowledging that, we are fallen and, yet to get graced by God. And then also we'll start bridging the gap between us and God. So these 4 definitions are very important from a devotee standpoint. Any questions so far on what we have spoken about? Now, let me complete it. We all spirits or atmas in some way or another are contact with the matter. Right? Now, if you look at Bhakti, it has 2 kids. You see the 2 kids? One is knowledge. Yesterday we spoke about knowledge. And the second is detachment, vairagya. So there are 2 kids. You focus on Bhakti Devi, the kids will automatically come. Okay. So that is the power of Bhakti. In Bhagavatam itself, it says basically, so if you look at it, if somebody engages in the devotional service, then quickly this detachment develops and knowledge also. And knowledge will lead to detachment. And knowledge is that I am not this matter, I am spirit soul. And this milestone, which a jnani is craving for, is automatically achieved on the path of bhakti and much beyond. Not just I am a soul. You go much beyond that. Self-realization is not equal to God realization. Self-realization is minuscule in front of God realization. And self-realization automatically happens when you are on the path of bhakti. It's directly from Bhagavatam. Okay, so it puts in perspective what we spoke yesterday about Gyan Marg, detachment, vairagya, all that stuff. You need to be in advanced stage. When you do bhakti, you'll automatically get to that stage. You don't have to do anything special for that, because you are awakening your true self, your true nature, that of being a soul. And you would realize that if you develop 5% love for God, 5% of detachment from world has already happened, right? The other day, somebody was asking me, do you want me to detach when we do need to minus the world from my current routine? No, you don't need to minus anything. You just add God. You add God, the minus will automatically happen. You don't have to do anything. So 5% attached, 5% you have overcome your anger, greed, jealousy, stress, all that stuff. 10%, 10% you have, 15%, 100%, 100% you're out of it. It automatically happens. That is the power of bhakti. Okay, any questions? Because I know we covered a lot and it's a pretty interesting topic, right?
Yeah,
How it unfolds is, now I'll tell you the technology behind it as well, but let's take a few questions and then I'll tell you how it works. Yes.
Yes, Radhe Radhe Sandhya ji, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
So along with practicing Deenta and considering that I'm the most fallen soul, one also need to be strong and brave while pursuing the path of devotion. So can these 2 aspects become anti to each other, or is it like one needs to keep it in mind when I'm dealing with material world versus when I am conversing with God and Guru? That's where these come into the
Yeah,
picture.
it's a good question. So this is the dichotomy or paradox that we have to keep in our mind, which both go hand in hand. So on one hand, we talk about being humble, and on the other hand, you're talking about having that self-confidence, right? If we become humble, does it mean that we lose our self-esteem and we end up becoming doormats? No, that's not the case. So we have to supplement the same feeling with another feeling that although I'm insignificant, right, in front of God, or insignificant in my own abilities, but with the grace of God, I can achieve the impossible. I have infinite potential. So both have to go hand in hand. That doesn't mean you lose confidence in yourself and you think I'm useless. No, God has a plan for you, and he can make you do impossible things which you might think are impossible, and you have infinite potential. With his grace you can achieve anything. Both things have to go hand in hand. Right? That back of the knowledge. So that is why knowledge is important. Humble does not become then devotees. When they become humble, they are like, they will not stand up for themselves as well, right? And then that can put them in trouble as well in real life. So in addition to having that sentiment, you always keep the other knowledge at the back of your mind that you have infinite potential with grace of God, because you have God with you. Anything is possible. Anything that you put your mind on is possible. So both things have to be carried together. Piece of knowledge. Yeah.
Like just a
Then
little
it's
follow-up.
only because of His grace it is possible, not that I am somebody, right? You don't let your ego take a ride in that particular sentiment.
Right. So, like in the context of being strong, also being strong in the Vira Bhav sense, like even if you're waiting and you are yearning, but then you have to also stay strong, not like break. You know what I'm trying to say?
We will let God do some few things. We don't have to take responsibility for everything, right? Just ride your emotions and let God and Guru do some stuff as well, right? Why should we make it everything is our own problem? They only give you the ability to tolerate that pain. See, the human heart has a limited capacity. It has a thermostat on either side. If you get very happy, you will collapse. And if you get very sad, then also you will collapse. So God gives you the ability to tolerate that as well as you progress on this path. Right? If that was not the case, then gopis would have, what you call that, all of the gopis would have had heart attack out of bliss only when Maharas happened. But nothing happened. They never skipped a beat or a tal or the step. Everything was working like an orchestra. That means God gives you an ability even to digest that bliss, and your antakaran becomes so strong that you can digest it on either side. But that vira is not like the sadness of the world. That is a sweet, pleasurable feeling where you're not feeling the pain as. I mean, it's a pain, but a divine pain. I think it's difficult to articulate, but it's not like a normal pain that we feel in this world, right? It's at a much higher level, but God gives you the ability as well. The last thing God wants to take on His head is, okay, some devotee felt vira and died, right? Then what will happen to God? So He takes care of His devotees in that sense. Gives you ability as well. So for now, you ride your emotions. God will give you power to tolerate it as well when needed. He'll make sure that if when you at the back of your mind, when you want your seva to be done well and not get impacted because of those emotions, that will be taken care as well. So you ride your emotions for now with the knowledge at the back that God, few things I'm going to delegate to you. Okay, it's your problem, not mine, and see what happens.
Thank you, Nitinji. Very well explained. Radhe Radhe, Preeti ji, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe, Preeti.
Radhe Radhe, everyone. Nitinji beautifully explained the answer.
Yeah.
I really loved it. I have a different question. Like we have this verse Arto Jidnyasur Artharthi. So can you go back to that 1, 2, 3, 4 slide where Arto Jidnyasur? Yes. So number 3, the seekers of worldly possessions. If a person is doing some kind of seva, maybe for their teacher and for their guru, but when I do this seva, what I seek is my upliftment. I mean, I have my selfish motive. I want to become a better version. I want to uplift myself. I want to become a better person, everything. So there is a selfish motive behind my seva. So am I going wrong?
I think there's a couplet from Maharaji, right? Joi swarath pehchan dhanya soi. So good that you have understood where your true self-interest gets fulfilled. The problem is we don't even know that. We think our self-interest, see, we are selfish, that is fine. Selfish, not shellfish. Selfish, yeah. Which is fine. But the problem is we don't know where our self-interest is truly going to get served. So we have started seeking our self-interest from the worldly things. right? The worldly possessions and extensions of our body. Now what you are seeking is your upliftment. You are working at a soul level, and it is extremely pleasing to God. When we try to work on our inner self, uplift ourselves, or if we become selfish in wanting to see God, those are higher desires, uplifting desires, and it is extremely pleasing to God. You are actually serving the purpose of this creation if you're seeking that. God wants us to improve, uplift ourselves. And if we are joining that party, God will be very happy to that. You are actually preparing yourself to do cosmic dance with Krishna. Right now, we are doing our own dance somewhere, useless dance. But when we uplift ourselves, we are aligning to the purpose of this creation. It is extremely pleasing to God. That is perfectly okay. End of the day, we want to feel good, and it's a spiritual desire from that sense. Perfectly okay. And even in seva, we get attached to our sevas, and sometimes it's very blurring. Are we doing it for God and Guru or for our own sake? God cuts you slack in that. He understands. At least we have started doing something selfless. So that will also fall in place. Even if there are some shades of our own seeking and all, that is fine. It is still fine. It's not like God is very strict with that. He understands. It's our conditioned mind, right? But the beauty of seva is that it will start refining you over time. And slowly the things which are not needed will start falling apart. But it is a spiritual desire when you're working on your own self. Right? That is a good self-seeking, true selfishness, which is uplifting, and not the selfishness which is detrimental to our spiritual growth. I hope I answered your question.
You did,
Yeah.
you did beautifully. Thank you, Radhe Radhe.
Nice. Thank you.
Yeah,
Radhe
thank
Radhe.
you, Nitinji. Great discussion. When we are in this slide, there is a question in chat about this slide only. So I'll take that question. It's from Abhaji. What if one doesn't know they have fallen and they don't believe in God? How do you bring them in the path of belief in God if they used to do before?
What if they don't know they are fallen and they don't believe in God? Huh? It's a double whammy. It's a double whammy, okay. But yeah, I mean, see, it's like everybody is perfectly situated where they need to be. So if by talking to somebody they would change, then just by listening to one lecture of Swamiji, we would have transformed ourselves. It doesn't work so easily. So I think everybody is on a path, on a trajectory. If it is meant to be, if they have accrued sufficient merit, where that transformation they have started seeking, or at least that spark is there, or God has graced them because they have done some kind of a devotion in one of their lifetimes, it will happen. They'll latch on to it. But you can try, I mean, and see if they're able to latch. But if we try too hard to change somebody, it may not happen, because everybody is on their own journey, and usually it's not so easy. Buddha, he was asked by somebody. There was a guy who came and started abusing Buddha. He kept on abusing him, and after a while, when he got tired, Buddha said, give him some food and water so that he can get some more energy to start again. So he was given food and energy, and then again he started abusing him. The Buddha was like, whatever. And then he asked Buddha, what makes you the way you are? So Buddha replied, 50 lifetimes back, I was also like you. So the point is, we might have been on that path as well, not even knowing that we are fallen, and then not even caring about God. So it will happen at the right time. God has a plan for everyone. But yes, we could try as their well-wisher, but not make it a motive of our life, because everybody is perfectly situated where they need to be. They need to learn their lessons. They need to go through their journey before that spark will come. And then you never know, they may even overtake all of us in a jiffy. That can also happen. It's not that if somebody doesn't have a head start, anybody can take on anybody. We don't know that. So we can try, as much as they are seeking, but beyond a point, it's better to let go rather than making that it a motive of our life to get them on this path, because it doesn't work so easily.
Yeah, anyways, the change has to come from within, right?
True. Change has to come from within, right? Yeah, there was a guy who goes to Starbucks and, for the first time, and he gives him how much it is. He said $3.75. So he gave him $4. So he's expecting a change. So he didn't give him. So he said, where's my change? So this guy replies, change has to come from within. Anyways. Okay. Yes, Pratyusha, you had a question?
Pratyusha, ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe everyone. Radhe Radhe sir.
Yes.
Like just something that I wanted to say on surrender. So actually, I feel like the entry criteria, the distress, the knowledge seeker, the seekers of worldly positions, all of that actually is trying to teach us how to surrender. Right?
True.
If we, yeah, in distress surrender, knowledge seeker, we love God and we learn to surrender. Possessions also give us surrender. So ultimately, we are learning to surrender. So that is, we are slowly increasing our bhakti to reach a point where all that bhav, everything will come naturally when we progress.
True.
So I think that yeah, that this is what I wanted to say. This is all about like we are learning to surrender. So it's just
True.
why we are doing bhakti.
See, if you ask one shloka which covers up entire Bhagavad Gita, right? Like they say in presentations, corporate presentation, what is the executive statement? Executive statement after Krishna gives all the gyan, all the dope to Arjun. And finally he says, Sarv dharmam parityajya mam ekam sharanam braj. Just surrender to me. So you are right. End of the day, all that we are doing is to surrender to God. And we'll talk about surrender in great detail. Maybe one of the topics we'll pick up is grace and surrender only, because these words keep on repeating in all the sessions, right? So then people say, what is grace and how do I get one? What is surrender? What does it mean, right? So we'll talk about that. But yes, everything should eventually lead you to surrender. And the principle of surrender, the way it works is, if we are 90%, 99% surrendered, what will happen? Do we see 99% God? Just his feather is missing and rest is, he says the principle is absolute 100%. So yes, we have to increase our surrender, but then we become entitled for his grace as much as we surrender. Of course, we'll start tapping into his grace big time when we start surrendering to him. And even Karam Yoga is a principle of surrender only, where you surrender the results to him, where you surrender the forsake that attachment to the results of what you are doing. You forsake the sense of entitlement over things. You forsake the sense of doership over things. It's surrender only. So good catch. Everything should actually lead to surrender finally, increasing our surrender for God.
Yeah.
I think you're
Thank
on
you,
mute,
Nitinji.
Pratyusha.
Yeah, great question, Pratyusha. Yeah.
So, sir, in that line only, again, there is a connection which is the Dina Bandhu. But, that is also we become, again, a part of surrender and Patit Pavan. We realize that, yeah, we are having these
Right.
issues and
Right.
all of that is connected.
Yeah.
I'm glad you are able to see the connection between all of these. Very nice. Good realization. Yes, Manjuji, you want
Yes,
to ask?
Manjuji,
And then I
thank
wanted
you
to
for
tell you how
waiting.
this
Yeah.
technology works, okay? I'm going to cover it in my last slide. It's like the teaser for the end. Yes, go ahead, Manjuji.
Yeah, Radhe Radhe, please go
Radhe
ahead.
Radhe,
Thank
Nitinji.
you. Yeah, thank you.
Radhe Radhe. Yeah. The Lord is saying in one of, like, he says that I love the devotees of my devotees. So I just wanted to know, my devotees here refers to only the saintly persons, or does it also include the celestial gods as well? Like the god of fire or the god
No
of
celestial gods, no, okay. Okay. Forgive me, celestial gods, but yeah, no celestial gods. Because
it is
celestial
only the same.
gods, yeah, they are not they're bhogyonis. So devotees are typically saints who have actually realized God. So if you are actually serving your guru, it's very, very dearing and endearing to God.
Yeah, got it. Thank you, Radhe Radhe, Nitinji.
Thank you. Now, the way it works is when you do bhakti, see our antakaran, this is our antakaran. If you like this color, then you should not be liking this color, okay? It is meant to be impure. And when you do bhakti, it starts becoming pure. And purification. So this spirituality, if you look at it, is a process of cleansing our antakaran. That is all it is. If you ask what is the agenda of human life is to cleanse your antakaran, nothing else. Rest all is created by us. Mommy, Papa says do this, that. That is fine. We have to do something in our living as well, right? Can sustain this body and earn so that we can, economically independent and stuff like that. But if you look, the only agenda of human life is to purify our antakaran. And when the antakaran is purified, the purpose of creation or your purpose of life is fulfilled. So moving from impure to pure, purification of mind, right? If you see, finally it becomes pure and it is shining. So from impure to pure is the journey across lifetimes. And when this happens, you move from tamas to rajas to sattva and become gunatit. And that is all there is to be done. And when you do bhakti, bhakti is it's called an emotional meditation. You are immersing your mind in God. And when you immerse your mind in God, because God is all pure, automatically your antakaran will start getting. It's like applying detergent to a dirty cloth. When you apply detergent and pure water to a dirty cloth, it starts getting cleansed. And more we think about the world, more we think about news, more we think about Iran, Iraq, and more recently Hamas and Israel and all those things, the more we are taking on the colors of this world. Okay. Now you do your, what do you do? That doesn't mean you don't do your duty. You do your duty, but with a consciousness that you are doing this duty for the pleasure of God, and there you are not taking on the colors of Maya. Then you are retaining the purity that you've already retained, plus cleansing it further, basically. So this is how this process goes. And when you do bhakti, this will automatically happen. Bhakti is essentially union with God. It's essentially serving God and in a consciousness that everything is directed towards God. So it will purify you. And that is why even the knowledge gets revealed from within. Guru Nanak Dev, Kabir Das, they all had knowledge from within. They never read scriptures or anything. They just knew everything. If you read Kabir Das ji's dohas, right, distressed we were talking about, he said, dukh mein sumiran sab kare, sukh mein kare na koi, jo sukh mein sumiran kare, dukh kahe ko hoy. And some of his, all of his creation, the poetry that he wrote, or dohas, so to say, they're so profound. It's like coming straight out of his realization. In fact, there used to be a scholar in his time. Nobody would go to that scholar, and that scholar came to Kabir Das ji once and said, "Why do people come to you, even though I'm more educated than you? I'm better versed in scriptures than you." So Kabir ji gave a classic reply. He said, "Tum kaho कागिज की लेखी, मैं कहूँ आंखों देखी, निज आंखों देखी." So when you are supplementing it with your own experience and realization, nobody can beat that. And where did that come? Because their antakaran was pure, united with God. Knowledge has to reveal itself, and it's a natural manifestation of that. So bhakti will take care of everything. Just take the pill of bhakti. That's it. Nothing else. We don't have to worry about anything. Focus on bhakti. We've already gotten the fruit of bhakti. The seed is planted. Let's keep on nourishing it, and rest all will fall in place. We don't have to go for Kundalini Jagaran. We don't have to do Shambhavi, this Kriya, that Kriya. All that is fine. That may help you build focus, but you are still playing in the realm of Maya. You're not going beyond that. Okay, this is how it works. Siddhi, Vidhi, everything has to be rejected. Even moksha has to be rejected in the path of bhakti. Okay, Shweta ji has a question. We'll take one more.
Beautiful
And
slide.
move on to our next segment.
Shweta ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe, everybody. I had a question and a comment. From what we discussed just now, thus far, I think knowledge, seva, bhakti, detachment, and that leads to bhakti. And also in one of the Maharaj's videos, I think Dhur, when you were citing that example, he became God realized, he saw God at the age of 5, but then he still had a desire, to have the kingdom and rule over for a long time. But Maharaj said he had to do satsang to become more spiritual and detachment. So I think Guru and satsang are also key players in our spiritual journey. I think so. Thank you.
Very true. We'll talk about Guru Tattva. We are getting very close to 4.34, where we are going to talk about Guru Tattva for one full week. Okay, we'll just talk about that. What is the significance of Guru on the path of spirituality? This is again a topic that a lot of people debate about as well, right? Why do we need a middleman? We would deal with the party and not the broker. But we'll talk about the concept of guru. What is the significance of guru in life, right? And can we tap into God's grace directly? Can we interact with Krishna for that matter, or God directly? Or we need a guru in between? We'll talk about this topic when we get to 4.34. But thank you for bringing that up, Shwetaji.
Yeah, thank you, Swetaji. There is one question, Nitinji, in the chat. It's from Falguni-ji. She has asked, can you please explain what exactly is pure consciousness as mentioned in the sloka?
Pure consciousness, see, we, soul, if you look at it, it's pure consciousness. Soul is never tainted with anything. So if you think about it, our soul, everybody's soul is pure. It's pure. It is not tainted with anything at all. When we talk about antakaran, it is the mind, ego, intellect, man, chit, buddhi, ahankar complex, which is what we carry as a subtle body from lifetime to lifetime. So these layers that we have introduced, that we identify ourselves with, has become contaminated and dirty. Where we are self-seeking, we have gotten so many sanskars and backlog of our karmas and everything. And soul has to carry that. Soul in itself is pure. So when we rid ourselves of that baggage, then we sparkle and shine forth. That pure consciousness will come. It's like that dewdrop which has gotten contaminated, and through spirituality, we will restore it back to its original state, and that's pretty much it. We are already pure, but we have forgotten that, right? Because we have the layers of our mind, intellect, ego in between. And then we are carrying a karmic baggage as well from multiple lifetimes. That baggage, we have to somehow get rid of. And the only way to get rid of that baggage is by completing the surrender. So it's like this. The baggage is like, you have cotton balls, small cotton balls, right? So each lifetime, one baggage is like a cotton ball you have gotten. And like that, we have had infinite lifetimes. It's not our first life, right? We are the same age as God, technically. So we have such a big heap of cotton balls there. And part of that cotton ball is given to us in one lifetime, which we are not able to burn completely. We add another cotton ball because we are doing most of our karmas are binding karmas, because we don't understand the concept of karam yoga truly. So those cotton balls can never be erased. But Krishna says, the day you surrender, I'm going to light up a fire and burn it all off in one shot for you. That is his mercy. That means at that point, all the backlog of your sanchit karma, prarabdha, everything is gone. Oof, free. But the condition is surrender, fully surrendered. And how do you surrender? When you love somebody, you automatically surrender. Why would you love somebody? You need to have faith and understand the value of that person. How do you get faith and value of that person? You need to have contemplated upon it sufficiently. Why would you contemplate upon it sufficiently? And what would you contemplate upon sufficiently? The right knowledge. Right? And why would you get right knowledge? Because you are seeking it. Because Athato Brahma Jigyasa, Vedyasa said, as a human, you have to seek. As an animal, you cannot. All these are linked. And when you perfect your surrender, that's it. Then you have hit a lottery and that's it. Then mom, dad will not trouble you to get married, right? Nobody will come and fire you from your job, or you'll not have those anxiety pangs when your assignment is due. Everything is taken care of at that point. Yes. Or you'll not have to worry about where my next meal is going to come from. Or if I go out of job, what's going to happen, how I'm going to support. All those troubles will be wiped off at that point. Okay, I know we spoke a lot. We are 10:05 now. Anything more, or you can fill in the feedback tracker. Let's make the announcements and we'll transition to our devotional segment. You're welcome to stay back for that. Plus, please fill up the feedback tracker if not already.
Yeah. Thank you, Nitinji. I have already shared the link of the feedback tracker. Everyone, please put your feedback, comments, questions, all in the feedback tracker. And quickly, I want to go over some of the major announcements. One is about the Diwali Mela, a very exciting Diwali Mela, which is today. There's a lot of fireworks, laser show, kids ride, and this is going to be on in November 4 from 5 p.m. to midnight. And I have posted the link to register to buy ticket. So please take a look at it. It looks like it is wonderful, exciting Mela for everyone to enjoy along with the family. And the Navratri festival is going to be coming soon from October 14 to 24. So there's a lot of events, wonderful events, dance, garba, dandiya, Durga Puja and everything. So it is going to start from October 14 onwards, and we all can participate virtually also in all pujas and Durga Ashtami and satsang. I have posted the link for this event as well in the chat.
Thank you, Pallaviji. The Diwali event is a big one. Please help us spread the word around and record your videos if you can. You'll get points for the Seva teams. All Seva teams, I'll encourage you to record your videos. Shamji, we are still waiting for your video. You'll definitely get points for that, and encourage all the Seva teams to do that. If not already, check it out. I think we have some template videos already created. So if you can do that, that'll be very nice. That's a fun, engaging way you can do that. I'll be creating one for myself too. Great. So with that, are we good, or there's any more question?
Yeah, I don't see any more new questions in the chat.
Yeah, we can fill out the feedback tracker if you have any more questions. And tomorrow, by the way, we have our Kahoot quiz. So
Yes.
I hope you have brushed up your concepts from last week. And it's going to be another exciting Kahoot quiz tomorrow. I'm looking forward to it. Michelle, this time you might get lucky for the whole 10 questions. You never know. All the best. Okay. Are we good for the devotional segment then? Maybe we
Yes.
can have a couple of chantings and then we can wrap it up.
Sandhya ji?
Can I add just one announcement before we start the devotional segment?
No, you
Yes,
may
yes.
not.
But I have already started sharing my
Go
screen.
ahead then.
So this is regarding this book recently that has come, a new book from Swamiji, questions you always wanted to ask. These are only some of the examples of the questions out of many that are there. I think whatever you can imagine is answered in this book. So please check this out, especially for people in India. You can pre-order this book right now. You will get 20% discount, and also you will most likely get a signed copy from Swamiji, because the first set of people will get that. So yeah, that is it. Nitinji, if you want to add
Okay.
anything.
Yeah, this book has answers to the question you always thought about, the questions that you are thinking about, and the questions you are likely to think about. Everything is answered here. So please order your copy and write a nice review as well. I would encourage you to do that.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
So do we know when is the book is being launched? Yeah, when it is
20th October, it will be like out on Amazon.com as well. And tomorrow, okay, that reminds me of another big announcement. So tomorrow morning, 10:30 a.m. CDT, and tonight, 9 p.m. IST, there will be a live interview of Swamiji with GK Nanbanji on this book. So that is going to be the first official international launch of the book online. So everybody is requested to check that out and watch it, and spread the word around about it. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Sandhya ji.
Great. Anybody who wants to do chanting today? Maybe we can take.
Sandhya is ready
Go
for
ahead,
chanting.
Sandhya.
Yes.
We can probably take another hand, or I can do a couple of lines, and we can wrap it up. Go ahead, Sandhya.
So this is you can see this image. The person who has similar appearance to Krishna was his best friend Uddhav, And there is this basically image is describing the Uddho Gopi Samvad. And I feel that this particular context is pretty much fitting to what we have been discussing since the past few days, right? Gyan Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, importance of Bhakti, and how Bhakti can give knowledge. So just few lines that I came across and I really love them. जिसकी नजरों में है शाम प्यारी, वो तो रहती है जग से नियारी। जिसकी नजरों में है शाम प्यारी, वो तो रहती है जग से नियारी। जिसकी नजरों में मोहन समाए, जिसकी नजरों में मोहन समाए, वो नजर फिर तरसती नहीं है। ये तो प्रेम की बात है उठो, बंदगी तेरे बस की नहीं है। यहाँ सर्दी के होते हैं सौदे, यहाँ सर्दी के होते हैं सौदे। आशिकी इतनी सस्ती नहीं है, ये तो प्रेम की बात है उठो, बंदगी तेरे बस की नहीं है। यहाँ सर्दी के होते हैं सौदे, आशिकी इतनी सस्ती नहीं है, ये तो प्रेम की बात है उधो। Done.
Very nice, Sandhya. It's beautiful, beautiful bhajan. And Uddhav Gopi Samvad is like one of the highlights of Bhagavatam. So thank you for bringing it. Beautiful.
Especially this line, wo nazar phir tarasti nahi hai. Remember, we were talking about how when we get the higher taste of bhakti, automatically we grow out of all the material toys, right? So that's
Very,
what this line describes so beautifully. So yeah.
very nice. And I like the way Uddhav was heckled by gopis. You know, if you see the video, he came with a nice tucked hair, and then by the time he went, his hair was all over the place. I don't know, at least that's there in the video. Anyways, yes, Payalji, go ahead, please. Thank you, Sandhya. That was very nice.
जी, पायल जी, राधे राधे, प्लीज।
Radhe, Payalji.
राधे राधे। श्रीकृष्णं शरणं मम, 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 श्रीकृष्णं शरणं मम। कदम्ब केरी डालो बोले श्री कृष्णं शरणं मम, यमुना तेरी पारो बोले श्री कृष्णं शरणं मम, ब्रज 84 कोस बोले श्री कृष्णं शरणं मम, कुंड कुंडनी सीढ़ियों बोले श्री कृष्णं शरणं मम, श्रीकृष्णं शरणं मम, श्रीकृष्णं शरणं मम, श्रीकृष्णं शरणं मम, श्रीकृष्णं शरणं मम। कमल कमल पर मधुकर बोले श्री कृष्णं शरणं मम, डाल डाल पर पक्षी बोले श्री कृष्णं शरणं मम, वृंदावन ना वृक्षों बोले श्री कृष्णं शरणं मम, गोकुलियानी गायों बोले श्री कृष्णं शरणं मम, श्रीकृष्णं शरणं मम श्रीकृष्णं शरणं मम श्रीकृष्णं शरणं मम श्रीकृष्णं शरणं मम श्रीकृष्णं शरणं मम. Thank you so much, Radhe Radhe.
Thank you, Payalji. That was very nice, soulful as always. Loved it. Okay, I can recite a couple of lines and then we can wrap it up then. Radhe Kishori Daya Karu Shama Ladli Daya Karu Daya Karu Radhe Daya Karu Daya Karu Radhe Daya Karu Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Okay, that's all. All right, thank you everybody for another engaging session and for the wonderful participation. Tomorrow we'll have our Kahoot. So all the best to all the participants. I'm sure the video time is going to shoot up on our channel. Typically happens the day before the Kahoot happens, so it's a good sign. So all the very best. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. And thank you so much. Have a good rest of your day and great rest of your evening. Radhe Radhe from my side.
Thank you, Nitinji, for another awesome session. Thank you, everyone, for your wonderful participation. Stay blessed. Have a great day and good night. Radhe Radhe.